Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast, where we are all smiling today because Tottenham Hotspur have, of course, just beaten Chelsea at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium 2-0. Goals from Oliver Skipp and Harry Kane give Tottenham Hotspur the 3 points. We are still currently fourth in the Premier League. It's been a good day. It's been a good week. I've got three very special guests to talk about today's game with me. We've got Holly back with us. Holly from the BBC. Holly, how are you?
Great, and absolutely not hungover. So if anyone ever tells you that I'm hungover, they're lying, because I'm absolutely 100% not.
Well, I think we all deserve a drink or two after that, Holly, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to chat about a win, and yeah, we're in a really good position at the moment, it seems.
We've also got returning guest Ollie Gamp back with us, of course, sports writer with the Daily Mail. Ollie, how are you?
Yeah, always good talking to you, Chris, after a win. Very happy with the performance, and yeah, it's a rarity this season that we get a big win like that. But yeah, it's a very good day.
I tell you, it feels so good again to be back on talking about another win. Of course, we beat West Ham last week, Chelsea today. We've got Craig back with us. Craig, how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, brilliant win. But it does annoy me a bit that we can put in performances like this against mid-table lesser teams, but we can't compete with the big six. So when we can start performing against the big clubs, then I'll be a bit happier. But yeah, it's still a good win today, definitely.
Love it, Craig. Love beating mid-table teams like Chelsea.
Yeah.
Craig, let's start the show with you. Give me your thoughts on today's game, because my personal opinion, I thought there were a lot of standout performances today. I think that every Spurs fan, was fantastic. Every Spurs player was fantastic today. And, big shout out to Christian Stellini. He's been in charge without Antonio Conte for 4 games. We have won all 4.
Yeah, and he's I think he's got 100% record in total, hasn't he? When he subs for him essentially when he was at Inter. So, I mean, he's got something. Obviously, if it was 1 or 2, you'd think, okay, fair enough, but stats don't lie, do they? So he's done really well, you have to say. And perhaps like we discussed on the last show, perhaps the players are not as nervous when he's in the dugout to make mistakes as they are perhaps when Conte's there. But it's just a fantastic win, fantastic performance. The whole team played well again, which was great. Not one player had a poor game. I think Skippy got man of the match, which I fully agree with. I thought he was absolutely dominant in the midfield, getting a run of games, and look what he does. Emerson again was fantastic. All of them. There's not one player out there today that had a poor game. But take nothing away from Tottenham, but Chelsea were poor. I thought, no cutting edge. It's not the Chelsea we've played before, but hey, look, we'll take the win. It's 4 points off Chelsea for the first time. I don't know how many years they did say on the telly, but it's 4 points, a draw and a win. That's unbelievable. If that isn't a turnaround, I don't know what is against Chelsea anyway, and long may it continue.
Holly, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's game.
Yeah, it was... Oh, wait, Holly or Ollie? This is going to be a problem.
Sorry.
We'll go in the order of Craig, Holly, and then Ollie, if that's all right.
Craig, Holly, Ollie, you go for it. Go on, take it away, Holly.
Yeah, obviously great game. Amazing to win after we obviously drew against them last time. It sort of felt like we had a bit of unfinished business there, so it was nice to sort of put that to rest today. And all I can say is, I remember when we got Conte, some colleagues of mine were saying, what if we end up with Potter? And I remember saying, let's not push the Potter button. Let's not do that. And lo and behold, he's probably having a very bad day today. And, it's good that, our second in command, Stellini, is just absolutely smashing it. So, yeah, really great to see Skipp get his first goal. You can just see what it meant for him. I think he was surprised himself when he actually saw it go in, but just chuffed to bits for him, really. Nice to do it at home in front of a home crowd.
Ollie, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's game, because beating Chelsea, it means a lot to us, doesn't it?
Yeah, it means a hell of a lot. And, a lot of these games we folded, we see a lot of the time Chelsea, they're the ones that turn up and we don't. So it's a rare thing to see us beat Chelsea because we have a terrible record. But yeah, everybody stepped up. You could see Kane driving from midfield as he always used to do in the past. Ollie Skipp, definitely man of the match for me, incredible. I always say if we had 11 Ollie Skipps, we'd probably be all right. Because what he lacks in technical ability, he really does. Yeah, that's great, Polly. What he lacks in technical ability, he really makes up for with his determination and his grit, and just never gives up. He's just incredible. But no, to be fair, I was thinking, I'd be really worried if we didn't beat this Chelsea side because they are just a team of individuals who have just been put together. And yeah, I was kind of expecting us to win because they are in a really, really bad way. But credit to the team for stepping up when it mattered. There's a lot of times where we've just kind of folded, and yeah, it was nice to see. It was nice to see us deliver the goods today.
Ollie, what do you make of the job that Christian Stellini has done whilst Antonio Conte has been missing?
Do you know what? I feel really bad for saying this. I keep saying to my friends, like, I know that obviously Conte's had surgery, but you almost want to give it Stellini to the end of the season because the players just seem to respond to him. I don't know what's going on. I mean, Craig, was it you that said that they're maybe scared of Conte? I mean, yeah. Maybe. It's like, when the teacher goes out and then the substitute teacher comes in and everybody mucks about and has a laugh. Like, maybe it's like that. I don't know. Which is obviously a terrible thing to say because the guy's just had surgery. But you almost don't want him to come back, which sounds horrible. But yeah, the players, I mean, you'd hope that Stellini's just following the playbook from Conte, the Conte playbook, and he's not doing anything different, and that, Conte will come in and we'll be fine again. But then he comes back and we lose 4-1 to Leicester. So what does that say? I don't know. So yeah, I think Stellini, he deserves a lot of credit. He's obviously setting up the team well, kind of just going back to basics, just giving everyone the freedom. But yeah, hopefully Conte can come back and the same message is delivered again.
Craig, we went with an unchanged side, the side that beat West Ham last week. Of course, the team lineup today: Forster in goal, the back three of Romero, Dyer and Lenglet, the wing backs Emerson and Davis, in midfield Højbjerg and Skipp, the front three of Kulusevski, Kane and Richarlison. Subs today: Austin, Tanganga, Sanchez, Porro, Sarr, Perisic, Danjuma, Lucas and Heung-min Son. Were you surprised that Heung-min Son weren't in the starting 11 today, and were you surprised that they went with the same team?
No, actually. To be honest, I thought we'd start the same team. I think it's fair that Richarlison gets a run of games. I mean, you can't fully see what a player can do just through one game and then being pulled off. So for me, it was the right decision to go with the same 11. Sonny come on only with 10 minutes, but to be honest, you could have just given him a rest for the rest of the week, and then we got a game midweek, haven't we? So then perhaps start in that. But I think it was the right decision. Just a quick message for Gary if he's watching. Swapped a few messages with Gary. Gary was convinced we was going to lose today, so I think he's eating a lot of humble pie stuffed with pick and mix. Because we did win, but got some nice messages from Gary at the end, so he was obviously very excited. I think he said he ran out into the street and started screaming. I just hope he wasn't naked at the time, so he probably was, knowing Gary. But anyway, yeah, right decision to pick the same team.
Well, Craig, as I said to you off air, and I'll say it on air as well, the guy in front of me was actually shouting, "Come on, Pele," every single time Emerson Royale got the ball today. He had another good performance today.
He certainly did.
Holly, let's come to you on the starting 11. Were you surprised that Conte and Stellini went with the same 11 as last week?
Just double checking you're talking to me, Chris, before I speak.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, and you know what? The first thing I want to say is, we were talking about eating humble pie, and I'm about to do the same here because there was a lot of slander on my part towards Emerson the last time I appeared on the show. Now, listen, when I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. When I've said bad things about someone that I regret, I'll apologise. Emerson, if you're listening, darling, I'm very sorry, okay? Turns out you're a shining star, and I love you very much. I was so horribly wrong. And that is what I have to say about that. But I always love it when I see Richarlison in the starting lineup. sometimes I don't think he gets enough time out there. So yeah, it was great to see him. Basically there from the start. So hopefully that continues. I absolutely adore Son to pieces, but sometimes when he comes on as a sub, like he just performs unreal, like amazing. When sometimes maybe games prior to that he's been sort of under the radar. So maybe it's what he needs at the moment.
Holly, how does our new signing Pedro Porro, I know he came on as a sub late on in the game, but how on earth does he get into the team with Emerson Royale putting in performances like he has been?
I bet you never thought you'd ever say a sentence like that before, Chris. Like, yeah, it's so true. Like, and I was just thinking when Holly was saying that about Emerson, I was like, how did we get to this? We all hated Emerson, and now it's impossible to hate him because he's producing every week. And I just think that the transfer chiefs at Spurs must be so annoyed that they just spent 40 million on a right back who has a horror show first game, and now Emerson's like playing well again. It's like, where was this before? I don't know. He's just going to have to. It reminds me of when Lloris came to Spurs and Friedel was turning in world-class performances every week, and you couldn't drop Brad Friedel because he was just too good. And I think this is the same with Emerson. So he's just gonna have to sit tight on that bench, I think. I think that there will come a time for Porro. Hopefully he's not another misfire signing. But yeah, Royale is he's just doing the business. But like, you have to question, was it really we just needed a stronger option on the bench for you to click into gear? It's bizarre. But yeah, he's fantastic at the moment. I love that performance from him today.
Ollie, obviously Richarlison was given another opportunity today in the starting 11. What did you think of his performance today?
I actually thought he did really well. I agree with the other guys. I think he was kept in the team because we want to build his confidence up a bit, get him scoring. It's mad that he hasn't scored yet in the Premier League. We spent 60 million on a guy who hasn't scored. But yeah, I think for the game against Chelsea, you need players like Richarlison who deliver aggression and kind of get under players' skin. That's what we need. That's what we need from a player like Richarlison. So I think that's why he was brought into the team for this game. I was surprised that Son didn't play. But yeah, it was what we needed to rile the Chelsea players up.
Craig, Ben Davies started the game today. It was his 300th Spurs appearance. What did you make of his performance today, and how would you describe his time at Spurs? 300 appearances for the club.
Well, first of all, what a great servant to the club. I might be in the minority, but I've always thought Ben Davies was good for the squad. I wouldn't say he's always first choice, but I've always thought that he's a pretty steady player, and I thought he had another good game again today. I think he's an underrated player, if I'm honest. Look, he's not one of your top centre backs in the world or even wing backs in the world, but what you do get from Ben Davies is commitment and a good honest performance every time he goes out there. I've very rarely seen Ben Davies have absolute shockers. He's generally pretty good, and he played a good solid game again today. Fully deserved to keep his place left wing back, and I think we'll probably get a rest in the midweek game along with a few others. But it's still an important game. Obviously, we want to win a trophy. 14 minutes in, and I've mentioned the word trophy, so I do apologise. But good performance from Ben Davies, as it is the whole team there. And just going back to Emerson, I've never had a bad word to say about him. I've seen his talent from day one. Emerson, I've never ever slagged him off on this channel. I thought he's a fantastic right back. So no, in all honesty, every week, perhaps it was getting somebody else in. Perhaps he thought, well, my position's under threat. But at the moment, you have to say, would you be happy to go with those two next season? And what must Jed Spence be thinking? Is he thinking, am I going to get into this team? Are they going to get rid of Emerson in the summer? I mean, who knows? It's going to be very interesting. But hey, team's more important than any one player. And if we've got good competition, two good players for every position, you're halfway there already.
Holly, who are you really impressed with today? Because I feel like I could probably name half the team who had an outstanding game today. What do you put that down to?
I think, honestly, I put it down to Salini. I think everything that you said just now about him was pretty much spot on. I think whatever he is doing, even if it's just his influence, and like you say, he might not have changed much, still playing by Conte's rules, but I think maybe just his presence, and he might have a better camaraderie with the team. I mean, I think Antonio Conte is terrifying. I think he is absolutely terrifying. Like, I wouldn't want to be in that guy's bad books. No way. So I don't know if if that has made a difference, but I just think, like, as you say, Chris, so many stood out today. And I think, but for me, I think it's got to be Skipp and Richarlison.
Ollie, let's stay with you for a second. I just want to talk about Antonio Conte because, of course, it's likely that he's going to return for the Sheffield United game midweek in the FA Cup that we'll come to later on in the show. Don't you feel that it's a little bit disrespectful towards Conte with so many fans saying, yeah, but Stellini now, we've won 4 out of 4. We don't want Conte back. Surely Conte has had a big influence in all of these 4 games that Stellini's been in charge.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see him, even from his bed, being the biggest micromanager. I can just imagine him constantly going back and forth with him. So I think let's not forget that he is still the puppet master here, if you like. And I think a lot of people love to give Conte grief. Every time we have a bad game, it's like, get Conte out, get him out straight away. But let's not forget all of the positives and how far I think we have come under his leadership. So I think maybe let's give the guy a break and let's see if when he comes back, if our winning streak continues, and then in which case there'll be more humble pie given to a lot of other people who have been mean about him while he's been away. So I'd be happy to see him back, but let's hope the wins continue.
Craig, I want to come back to your point as well. We will be talking about trophies. It is now 15 years and 2 days since we last lifted a trophy. And yes, I am counting the days. Ollie, let's come to you. Fraser Forster, talk to me about Fraser Forster. I believe that he had a great game today.
Yeah, he did. What is it? Two clean sheets in a row now? Yeah, he's done really well. And I think, we were all a bit worried when Hugo was out and we were thinking 8 weeks with Forster. He looked a bit, aging. He looked, has he still got it? I think he went to Celtic. Obviously, it's a massive step up. He's in the Champions League. Lots of big games coming up. But no, I think he's done really well. There was one where he made a really, really good save. And I was just like, yeah, safe pair of hands. I think we've got a really good group of goalkeepers and yeah, his experience is really valuable for the team. I think he's just the kind of keeper we need to step up when a player like Hugo goes missing.
Ollie, let's take a comment here from Al. He says, could Conte be the reason we haven't done better, where the players are more nervous about pleasing the manager than just going out and playing football? Do you feel that the team is different when Conte hasn't been here?
Well, firstly, I wasn't suggesting that we should give it Stellini to the end of the season. That was a joke. But no, I think if a manager commands respect, that is a good thing, and it should never be that the manager's too scary to manage the team and that the team are scared to play because Conte's so scary. Discipline's a good thing, isn't it? So, if our manager has good discipline, the players should respond to it, and we should all be well organized, and we should be afraid of making mistakes. Therefore, we don't make mistakes. So it shouldn't be a problem. If Conte comes back and we lose every game the rest of the season, we got an issue. But I don't think it will be that case. I think the Leicester game, maybe there was a lack of preparation. Maybe Conte wasn't quite with it because he was still recovering, came back too early, and maybe the message didn't get across for whatever reason. But no, I don't. I think Conte should come back, and I think I agree with what Holly said. Holly said that he probably had a lot of input from his hospital bed, and I'm sure that's true. I'm sure he had a lot to do with the win today. So yeah, let's give credit to Conte because he's just all Stellini is a messenger. He'll just be relaying the message from Conte. So let's give Conte the credit he deserves.
Craig, let's come to you. It looks like Bentancur is going to be out until at least November. later on this year. We were all worried about his injury and who was going to partner Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Oliver Skipp today, absolutely sensational.
Yeah, he was, and let's not forget, before he got injured last season, we was all quite worried, when he did get injured, because we thought, he was having such a good run of games. So we shouldn't be surprised that we know what this lad can do. And now he's had a few games under his belt. He was just everywhere today, sickening tackles, obviously scored a fantastic goal, high energy. It's just what you need in there. And he does get forward as well. So, slightly different player to Bentancur. Perhaps Bentancur's a bit more technical, but what a good stand-in, if you like. He's a Tottenham lad, loves the club, and just gave his all today. And he's just put in a string of good performances, and you can't ask for more than that. And I think the midfield's in safe hands. There's three big games he's played in now, and he's been fantastic. So I don't think we need to worry in that department. And of course, you got Sarr as well to come in and share the load there. So those three, as long as they remain fit, I don't think it's too much to worry about.
Holly, were you surprised on how poor Chelsea were today, particularly when they've spent the amount of money that they have?
I just love it. I just absolutely love it, because I know, we have so many rivalries with so many London clubs, but I don't know, there's something for me about Chelsea that just, I don't know, there's that extra element. I don't know if it's, yeah, my cousin's a Chelsea fan, and I feel like this gives me like bragging rights, for a good while now. And I remember I watched the first game of the season, where we drew against Chelsea, and I watched that with a Chelsea fan at the time. And, he was afterwards giving it the big one. Oh, look at all these Spurs fans celebrating a draw. Just because you can't beat us, you think it's a massive win drawing against us. Well, now I'm like, what was that? What was that? Sorry. So I do just love it for the bragging rights. And, we talk about the 15-year anniversary. God, what a game. I remember that with my dad. And I just, it feels right to beat him again.
Holly, let's stay with you. Our rights here, when you're afraid of making mistakes, you do make mistakes, even when a defence looks solid and more assured, the likes of Eric Dyer, etc. Now, Eric Dyer, of course, last week against West Ham made his 350th appearance in a Spurs shirt. Do you think Eric Dyer is looking more solid as a Spurs player at the moment?
I'm not so sure. I'm not Eric Dyer's biggest fan. I can't lie to you, Chris. He's just been so disappointing to me so many times. I always remain optimistic, but I'm not going to jump the gun here and say that I think he's, that he's transformed. I just, even if he has, it might be a fleeting moment, and then I'm sure next week he'll disappoint me again. That's what I'll say. You guys might disagree, but I'm not his biggest fan.
Ollie, let's come to you. Chelsea had a couple of chances in the opening few minutes. After 2 minutes, Felix had a shot from outside the box, went wide. Moments before, they were calling for a penalty. 7 minutes gone, across from the left, Felix couldn't quite get on the end of it. After 18 minutes, Felix shot on target straight at Fraser Forster. What were you thinking at that time? Because Stellini, certainly in the last couple of weeks, has said that it's about starting games in the right way. The first seconds, the first minutes, about starting games. We've spoke on this channel pretty much all season about Spurs starting poorly in games. What is it about us starting games, on the front foot and in the right way?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think this season that's been such a problem all season long, not starting games well. But in the last few games, you can kind of see us maybe inviting the pressure a little bit, and then as we go on, we improve. I think Chelsea, when that happened at the start of the game, when Chelsea were getting all those chances, you were thinking, well, here we go again. And I was like, they're going to score first, and then maybe it'll be a 1-1 draw. As the pessimist I am, Chris. And then we just grew into the game, and it got really good for us. But I was thinking, this Chelsea team, they just had 600 million spent on them. They are a team of individuals. Todd Bowley's playing Football Manager and Ultimate Team. This is not a team that's going to take control of a London derby like this. So I was kind of, as the game went on, even before Skippy scored, I was kind of confident that, we'd at least get a draw out of it. I didn't really, Chelsea have been in such a bad way under Potter. I really, really didn't see them threatening us, really. Once we got past that first little scare, we just took control. But, the fact that, I think it said it all, that Skipp and Kane scored for us, 2 homegrown Spurs boys. And then meanwhile, Chelsea have got all these superstars who don't know each other. And I think that was the key today, the unity, the fact, we've got a lot of critics of Spurs with Levy and the way we do things and our signings. We are a well-run club. I think we can all admit that. We're a well-run club. We do things sensibly. And today, we've got a really good team out there that all stepped up and they all know each other. They're all in perfect harmony, at least today. And that it was that kind of harmony that won us the game.
Greg, let's come to you. After 20 minutes, Spurs, we had our first chance. Harry Kane with a shot from 20 yards, went just wide. After 27 minutes, a good move from Tottenham resulting in Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, his shot coming off the post. Very unlucky. Good chance from Højbjerg, deflected onto the post.
Yeah, it was. I was surprised the referee didn't bring the game back to give the free kick against Richarlison, actually, because it was a foul. In fact, that's what we thought was going on, but he just gave the corner. So not the best performance by the referee, and I'm sure we'll come on to the red card that wasn't in a little while as well. But yeah, we started to grow into the game then. I personally, you know me, I like us to start on the front foot and go out early, but you could almost see us feeling Chelsea out in the first 5 or 10 minutes. You could see we was physically letting them have it near the halfway line, and nobody was really going to press, and people were just sitting back in their positions they've been told to. And I think that we were very comfortable. I think the players realised quite soon on that we was more or less quite comfortable with Chelsea. They would have seen that they don't carry the attacking threat they have done in the past, like with a Drogba or a Hasselbank or something like that. And they didn't really threaten us. I think 500 million gets you 2 shots on target in a game against Tottenham, a team where you've historically done very, very well. So they are in disarray. They're all over the place. And to me, I wasn't that, a bit like Ollie, I wasn't that worried. It was probably the most or the least worried I've been playing the Chelsea team, especially as we got to the second half and we got that goal. I just couldn't see us losing. I actually couldn't see it coming back into the game. It is a weird Chelsea team at the moment. You have to say that, but you know, you can only beat what's in front of you, as the old saying goes, and we did it well. I really thought the game plan worked well today because, like I say, you could see us feeling them out in that first half. And you know, if that ball had spun in from Højbjerg, we'd have even have a rare first half goal to talk about. So it was really good to see us growing into the game, though, Chris. I have to say, coming back to it, I would like us to start fast, but today I think it was more of a tactical battle, seeing how they played, and then we knew what we had to do. So I was really pleased with the whole performance today.
Craig, what did you make of Richarlison's performance today? Because he's still yet to score in the Premier League for Spurs. Does that worry you?
Not really. As long as we're winning games, I think it will come. I think it will come. He was out injured, obviously, just before the World Cup. Hasn't really had a massive run of games. Hasn't really had a big chance. And hopefully now they'll stick with him. I hope he plays in Wednesday in the Cup. He will get goals. It's just a matter of time. He's playing slightly different position than what he's been used to. So still learning that. You could see he was frustrated when he came off today, and I don't think it was the fact he was being subbed because it was only like 5 minutes to go. It was the fact that he didn't score, which is what you want to see from your strikers. You want your strikers to be disappointed when they don't notch a goal. So I'm not that concerned. He will come good. I know he's a good player. We've seen what he can do in the World Cup, so it's just we've just got to stick with him and believe in him. And when he gets one, I'm sure they'll. You know, like buses, will all come along at once.
Holly, let's come to you. A couple of minutes before half time, in the 43rd minute, Chelsea had a chance. Raheem Sterling with a shot. Great save from Fraser Forster. What have you made of Forster's appearances so far? Because, of course, we're without club captain and goalkeeper Hugo Lloris injured at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. great performance from him today, and also, you know, last week I went to the game last week, and yeah, I think you know, there was a sense that, you know, he has big shoes to fill, but I think he has really proved himself, and like the results don't lie on that front. And yeah, so it's not a concern for me really anymore. I think it's given people a lot more faith in him to be able to step up to the mark, and you know, I wonder what Hugo Lloris thinks about his replacement. You know, like it does make me wonder what he must think, because it must be, you know, really strange to see someone in your place and then also doing really, really well. So yeah, I'd be a bit like, oh, oops.
In stoppage time, and I want to get all of your opinions on this. Ziyech was shown the red card by Stuart Atwell, the referee. Then he changed his mind after going over to the monitor. Then took the red card away, gave him a yellow instead. Holly, let's start with you first on this VAR incident. What did you make of that whole incident? Because why on earth is a referee giving a red card, then taking it back and then giving a yellow before looking at the monitor first? I didn't understand it. It just seemed like an absolute shambles to me.
Yeah, completely agree. It was like a complete waste of everyone's time. It made him look silly. It showed like a complete lack of direction. I think he was panicking. But I just read in the comments just now, actually, I can't remember who said it. So, but someone said, I'm glad that the red card was, you know, swapped for a yellow, because otherwise Chelsea would be saying they lost because they went down to 10 men. And that's so true. That would be the one thing that they would have held on to. So, so yeah, I think that's the positive that we can take away from it. But yeah, I mean, really poor from the ref, and yeah, I've never seen anything like that before.
Holly, what did you make of it?
If you saw my tweet, Chris, you'll know I'm very not happy with it. Holly, I know you've seen my tweet. Yeah, I think it's farcical. I mean, let's talk about the incident as a whole. The guy has slapped. He slapped him. He slapped Emerson. Oh, no, who did he slap?
Emerson.
It was Emerson.
Yeah.
Emerson comes in to clear the danger, to get him away, bumps into him. There's malicious intent. He's reached out to slap the guy. That is a red card, just straight up red card. For them to give the red card, what you're giving a red card, and then you're looking at the monitor, you've just lost it. So Stuart Atwell, yeah, as Holly said, he's just panicked, and I don't know, maybe he's given in to the players all complaining, but I just don't. I mean, the commentators were saying, yeah, right decision, and I was just like, what? Like we've seen red cards for less. Do you remember when Son, same fixture, sort of stuck his boot out while he was on the floor, and he gets a red for that? He's actually reached out to slap someone, and you're giving him a yellow card. It was a red. But as Holly said, if he had got sent off, that would have been their fullback. So justice served up on a plate.
Holly, what do you make overall with VAR? Are you a fan of it? Because there just seems to be mistake after mistake after mistake, week after week.
I'm a fan of VAR if VAR is used properly. And at the moment, it's not used properly. I think it has to be. We've got to just put some modifications into it. I think there's got to be a time limit on decisions. I'm not a fan of this. You know, the ball's gone. We go back up the other end, and then we're discussing a decision that happened 3 minutes ago. There's got to be a time limit. There's got to be. At the end of the day, VAR is just somebody's opinion, and I think that is the problem. There's not enough. What is a handball? What is a red card? The rules need hardening up. And VAR will always be subjective. It will always be contentious because we don't have hard enough rules. They've got to be hard and fast. What is an offside? What is a red card? What is anything? We don't know. I think at the World Cup, they were quite good with it. You know, things didn't really go on too long. They were very swift. But yeah, the problem is everybody, like if you go to the Champions League, they'll do it differently. And if you go to the Premier League, they've got a different take on VAR. So everybody's got to follow the same. Everyone's going to be singing from the same hymn sheet. So I'm a fan of it in general. I'm a fan of the concept. I'm not a fan of the execution. Let's say that.
Ollie, I would like to also ask you, because a couple of weeks ago, Lee Mason, he's now not allowed to referee, or he won't be refereeing any Premier League games anymore.
Yeah.
What needs to happen to referees when bad decisions are made?
If I make a mistake when I'm writing a story, I get punished. And if Lee Mason makes a mistake managing a Premier League game, he should be punished. I don't think he should be banned because we can all make mistakes. But it's a very high-profile business, and if you make a mistake, especially when you're not drawing the correct offside lines, you need to get in the sin bin and banned for a few games. You know, give him a chance. I mean, Lee Mason is a very experienced referee. Give him a chance to come back. Because same with the John someone. What's his name? Do you know? Any of you guys know? There was another guy who made a mistake. I can't remember what his name was now. John something. But no, everyone should be allowed a chance to make a mistake and come back. If you're making a mistake every week, then see you later. But yeah, I think we need referees with more education. They all need to decide what. I mean, you know, drawing the offside lines incorrectly, there's no excuse for that. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, there just needs to be all the referees need to get together and sort their stuff out because yeah, it's been a bit rubbish this season.
I'll tell you what, for me personally, I would love to see a referee and perhaps the linesman sometimes of actually having a press conference after a game, like the managers do. I'd love to see that happen one day. Craig, let's come to you on the same point. What did you make of that whole incident before half-time? The red card, then the yellow card.
Oh, it was just a bit farcical, to be honest. And just leading on from what you said there, Chris, I'd love for the refs and, well, they are mic'd up, but for the crowd to hear like you can in other sports, I think that would be really good. That would be really useful, especially to fans in the stadium, because when you're sitting watching at home, you do tend to get a little bit more information. But the whole incident was farcical because the tackle was a yellow card. Let's get that right. That was a yellow card, and then he should have received another yellow card for the push because he's raised his hands. You could say raising your hands. I thought that was a red card anyway, straight red. You can't raise your hands, and his hands were raised. He hit his shoulder. All right, it might have slipped and hit him in the face. It's still a red card. You know, you could argue that is a red card, but there should have been 2 yellows, so it should have been off anyway. But then to give him the red, then go and look at the monitor. What are the VAR officials in is it Bleckley Park or where it is they are? What are they doing? Why aren't they saying to the referee, that's a red card? Why is he giving the red card and then go and look at the monitor and having the player stand on the pitch till he makes his final decision? It's an absolute farce, and Holly was right. He just makes himself look like an idiot. And I think he lost control at that point. Players didn't know what was going on. Even the guy who got sent off didn't know what was going on. It's just ridiculous. But, you know, as Ollie said, they've got to get it right. I'm a fan of VAR. I think the technology can work, but they've still got strides to make to make it a bit more streamlined. I think they're bringing in the semi-autonomous offside like they use in the World Cup for next season. Why they can't bring it in this season, I don't know, because it'll be the same for everyone. But hey ho, there's still things they've got to get right, and that one of them today again proved that, as Ollie said as well, you know, people aren't doing their jobs properly. You know, get paid a fair bit of money to do this, and you still can't get it right. So there's still steps to be made on this.
Ollie, let's come to you. So the start of the second half, and what a start it was. I think it was 16 seconds in. Most fans weren't even in their seats, and they didn't even see Oliver Skipp's goal, putting us 1-0 up. Emerson's shot kept us saved. Then it was cleared. It went straight to Oliver Skipp. What a strike from him.
Absolutely. I bet the fans that were just finishing that last bit of their halftime pints wish they just left it, because how fuming would you be? You know, I've been there where I've like nipped to the loo. In fact, when I used to go watch Plymouth Argyle games regularly, you know, when I was at home because I lived next to the ground, people used to take the mick out of me. They say that they would be like, oh, do you need to go to the loo yet? Because every time I went, somebody scored. And there is nothing worse than hearing the stadium erupt and you miss out on it. There's nothing worse. But then, I mean, you're happy to be there. You're happy that it's happened. But yeah, and his first goal, as I said earlier on, you know, you could see how much it meant to him. Like, it, you know, I think even if, you know, people missed it, if they watched it back, I'm sure that, you know, they get that warm fuzzy feeling because, yeah, you could see he was absolutely over the moon. And yeah, I think it was nice for the fans that were back in their seats to have that celebratory moment with him, because I'm sure he'll never, ever forget it. And, you know, being a Tottenham boy himself, God, I hope he's celebrating today, bless him. I really hope he is.
Holly, let's stay with you on Oliver Skipp, because what an opportunity he is for him, and he's certainly grabbing the opportunity at the moment, because with someone like Bentancur out the team, you know, most players wouldn't really get this opportunity, would they? Without one of the key players, Bentancur and Højbjerg, being out of the team by being injured.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, when I saw the news about his injury, absolutely gutted. You know, we say, don't we? You know, he's the reason. Like all of that. I was really concerned and really worried about it. But it's nice to see. You know, I think as well, as a player who is replacing someone, you know, like Bentancur, you must. You know, there must be a sense of like, you know, nervousness to step into those shoes, as we mentioned earlier on with them in terms of goalkeepers. But I think he's just like grabbed the opportunity with both hands, and he's proven that he can do it, and that he can do it well. And you know, I haven't got enough good things to say about him, really. So at least we can move forward and have faith in him for the rest of the season, and hopefully he'll get some more goals as well. I mean, I don't know if I see it happening, but but you know, we can hope.
Holly, how impressed have you been with Oliver Skipp? Because of course, every Spurs manager that he's played under, they've all said the same thing: a future Spurs captain. Do you agree?
I'm honestly looking forward to the day where we've got Skippy the skipper. I think that'd be a great day for all of us. Yeah, it's surely gonna happen. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely in love with Ollie Skipp, and I think a lot of non-Spurs fans don't realise how good he is. And you know, my friends just kind of tease me saying he's just another Tom Carroll, he's just another Harry Winks. He's not. Firstly, he is. I can understand why people say that, because he's in the mold of that kind of young Spurs player who doesn't really score, but he offers so much, but probably more than any of those guys did, because he's absolutely relentless. Like, if you give him a chance to play this kind of game, he will leave nothing on the pitch. He might not have the best game of his life, but he will make sure he tries his hardest. And you know, I think we were all, when Bentancur got injured, we were all worried, because we were thinking, Skippy not played in quite a long time. When we had that game against AC Milan with Skippy and Sarr, we were all thinking, here we go. Skippy and Sarr were great, and I think they were our top story on the Mail. They were our top story, talking about how good they were, and all the pundits praising them. They were great, and I think people underestimate them, and that kind of works for us, because people don't realise what Skipp brings to the team and how much he offers. The amount of driving runs from midfield I saw him make today, I was just absolutely blown away. Even as someone who rates him and is always singing his praises. So yeah, long may it continue. If Bentancur's out for the season, then I think we're good, as long as one of Skipp and Højbjerg doesn't get injured. But yeah, you can't, as Holly and Craig were saying, you kind of run out of superlatives for Skipp, because he is a manager's dream, really. It's a player who just doesn't stop.
I have to be honest and say that this one doesn't have a number on it, but my other home shirt from last season has Son on the back. So I was reading the comments just now, people saying that Son's finished. Now listen, I know I said I was happy for him to be a super sub, but please don't ever tell me that boy is finished, because no, and I will never ever allow that to be said. Never.
Holly, if you could have a name put on your back right now, I reckon it'd be Emerson.
Right, baby steps, Chris, maybe. And you know, if he carries on the way he's going, then you know, it might be time for me to take my shirt in and get him on the back. But if I could pick anyone today, it would be Skipp. How's that?
I stopped to the back of my shirt years ago when I had David Bentley, followed by Berbatov, and I was like, I'm done. It was a bad string of names.
Cursed.
Ollie, let me come back to you, because I wanted to ask you about the incident in the 72nd minute. The referee just running off the pitch down the tunnel. What was going on there? Because you know, I'm still at the stadium, in the ground at the time of the game, and all the fans were wondering what on earth was going on. Why do fans inside the stadiums never ever seem to know what's going on?
I mean, does anyone ever know what's going on in that moment? At least, you know, with us watching at home, we have the commentators sort of speculating. But yeah, you sort of forget that you guys there in the moment. You don't have anyone talking in your ear apart from the person sat next to you going, what the is going on? But, you know, I think we can all agree that the referee today, the whole situation was an absolute shambles, obviously going back to what we were talking about just now. But yeah, surely not. The person who's supposed to be regulating the game just runs off. It's like me when I'm like halfway to work and I think I've left my hair straighteners on. It's like quick dash back to double check. I just don't really have any words for it. Just a bit embarrassing, to be honest, on his part. And also one more point, which off the back of the whole red card, yellow card incident, I just want to add actually that actually you have to think almost now what precedence this sets, because you are also, on a serious note, you are showing that you can hit someone in the face and get away with it, and that wouldn't be allowed anywhere in any workplace or in any situation. So I mean, I know a few of us have probably wanted to give Emerson a slap at a time or two, but it doesn't mean you actually go on and do it now, does it?
I think Emerson, I tell you, it's been an incredible turnaround. Ever since Pedro Porro has signed for Spurs, Emerson has been putting in shift after shift after shift. Ollie, let me come to you on that point about Emerson. What has changed? Is it the fact that he has just upped his game because there's been a new signing?
I think that's it. I mean, we don't sign players who are bad, and he was at Barcelona the season before we signed him, and Spurs do their homework. We got scouts who are very diligent in what they do. We don't just bring a player thinking, yeah, go on then. He played for Barcelona, let's bring him in. Like we just rest assured. Is that no? Be assured everybody at Spurs have done their homework on Emerson Royal, and I think he is now showing what we paid for. And having someone like Porro in the team, if you were a striker, for example, and another striker comes in, you'd be like, "Oh, who's this?" Like, I'm gonna try my hardest to show you that he's not better than me. And I think Matt Doherty. If you were in the team, would Matt Doherty threaten you? I kind of loved Matt Doherty, what he did. I think he was quality at times, but he wasn't consistent enough. And I think when a player comes for the price tag that Porro came for, I think that is only naturally going to up your game. And I think it's also to do with the fact that it's more and more time they're working on their positions with Conte and Stellini. I think we've seen so many players come in, and we hope that we see it within Ndombele. And we've seen it with other players in the past where they start off really slowly and then they just never really develop. But there always comes a point where the penny drops for so many players. I remember Asuakoto, there was a point where we were like, this guy just doesn't know what he's doing. And then he became so key for us. Same with Bale. We saw it with Bale as well. We didn't see it with Soldado. There are like crossroad moments. And I think Emerson has reached that crossroad point now where he gets it. Hopefully.
Can I just add something there, Chris?
Yeah.
I saw in the comments, Jamie D said that Emerson needs a chant. Well, let's remember he has a chant, and I just think we should just change the lyrics. We should just give it a little remix and change it to "He can defend, he can attack." How's that? Easy enough to remember. I think we should just shake it up for the rest of the season.
Do you want to sing it for us then, Holly?
He can defend, he can attack. Emerson Royal is our right wing back.
I like
there
it.
You go.
Craig,
Everyone sing it with me.
Let's get that going. I like it.
I thought you were going to join in, Ollie.
No.
I reckon he was tapping his foot along to that there.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to join in.
Craig, let's come to you in the 79th minute, 11 minutes from time. Heung-min Son came off the bench, Kulusevski coming off. He had a huge cheer from everybody at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. What do you make of this whole Son situation at the moment? I know obviously Richarlison's starting ahead of him. Do you think he's going to be in the starting lineup for the Sheffield United game, in our next game in the FA Cup? How do you think he's feeling at the moment?
He said himself that he watches the games back. He's aware that his performances haven't been as good. So Son's going to know. He's no idiot. and he'll be working hard behind the scenes to get that back. And I fully expect him to start against Sheffield. To be honest, he might even give Kulusevski a rest and play Son, Richarlison, and Kane. That's probably what I'd like to see. And then you've got Kulu to bring on if things are going badly. But that's the whole point of those front four. They can interchange. With the exception of Harry Kane, you're always going to have him down the middle. But he'll know. He'll know that his performances haven't been up to scratch, and he's not scoring the goals that he did. I mean, he won the Golden Boot for God's sake, So he knows. He knows he's not quite there. But the strikers go through seasons like that, and it's just his time. And he'll get it back. I've full confidence in Son. Full confidence, and he'll get back in that team. He will 100% get back in that team, and he's got the work ethic to do that. We all know that, and he's forever going to be a Spurs legend. He's just fantastic. I love him. Full faith in him as well, Chris.
Do you want to sing us any songs?
No.
The viewing figures went up when Holly started singing, so I think she could do it again.
Ollie can do it. Ollie can do it.
Become a musical YouTube
Well,
group.
just 3 minutes after coming on, Heung-min Son took a corner, flicked on by Eric Dyer, and then, of course, Harry Kane was there to tap home, making it 2-0. Holly, what did you make of the goal?
I mean, I always love a Harry Kane goal, and he loves to score in a derby. We know this. Absolute hero. Great to see Son and Kane working together as they do. I don't really have much to say on it, just other than Harry Kane I just feel so privileged to be a Spurs fan in his era, because it's just you do feel every moment that you are part of history. And everyone always gives me grief about it. They're like, Harry Kane deserves more, he's not. They go on about trophies and everything, and it's like, do you know what, if that's all they can argue about it, then whatever. But it's just because they're jealous at the end of the day that we get to have him and they don't. Just love him.
I don't look like Stellini. Christ almighty, really?
Yeah, apparently so.
Cellini, maybe, but not Stellini.
Yeah.
Chiellini.
Yeah, been told that a few times.
Ollie, I think Holly is right. We're certainly lucky fans seeing Harry Kane, aren't we? What more is there left to say about Harry Kane?
There's nothing more to say about Kane other than the overused phrase of he needs a trophy, and we all know that. Spurs fans know that more than anyone. But if it's meant to happen, it will happen. If he's meant to join another club, he'll join another club. I think for all he's given us, he deserves to follow the journey that he was supposed to follow, and where he ends up, we can't do anything about it. I think, and I said this to you before, Chris, on the last time I was on. Let's just enjoy Kane for as long as we can, because as Holly said, it's historic. It's it feels incredible to see him do his thing at the moment. Is it 18 goals for the season now in the Premier League? He's catching up to Haaland, dare I say. But yeah, he's just a model professional. And today it reminded me of the old Pochettino days when he was making those runs from midfield and driving the team onwards. And then the goal is just pure instinct. And the goal was like a training ground routine. And Kane just kind of thrives on these loose balls. And he's just better than ever, really. Kane. He just pounced. Yeah, God, that makes me so happy. He is just, having Kane in the team is only going to inspire other people to step up. And everybody wants to be like Harry Kane. Every time you go on England duty, you hear all of them say, I can't wait to watch Harry Kane put the ball in the back of the net in training. Like, they all just look up to him. And, for as long as he's with the squad, that's, it's never going to be a bad thing to have other people bounce off of him. So, we're just absolutely privileged to have him.
Well, Harry Kane has now scored 20 goals in 9 successive seasons across all competitions. And as I mentioned earlier, the win today keeps us in the top 4. We now have 45 points from 25 matches. Today's stats from the game: Spurs had 41% possession to Chelsea's 59. We had 8 shots, Chelsea had 10. We had 3 shots on target to Chelsea's 2. Corners 4 apiece, fouls 10 apiece. Now let's come on to talk about the Sheffield United game on Wednesday, back in the FA Cup. It is the 5th round. The game kicks off at 7:55 p.m. live on the BBC. To get to this stage, Spurs have already beaten Portsmouth 1-0 in the 3rd round, Preston 3-0 in the 4th round, and Sheffield United have beaten Millwall and Wrexham so far. Holly, let's start with you on this game in the FA Cup on Wednesday. How are you feeling about it, and what does the FA Cup mean to you?
Can I just say, Chris, I was at the Preston game, as you know. I've been to see Spurs 3 times since I last came and spoke to you on this podcast, and I just want to say watch out, because I'll be coming for your gig in a minute. Do you know what I mean? Home and away. God, do you need an apprentice? Because I make a really good cup of tea. I reckon you've got the best job in the world. Yeah, literally. I mean, you eat, sleep, and breathe it. You really do, and we all really appreciate you for it. But yeah, I mean, we really, really, really have a great chance here, and I I'm always optimistic about things, but I really think we can do it. I think we're winning the lot. Let me just put it out there. I always say that, and I stand by what I say. I never relent, even if many times I am disappointed. And yeah, I just want to also add about Harry Kane. We talk about him making history. The next thing he's got to do is beat Mr. Shearer's record, and then he's done the lot then, hasn't he? And just looking at that picture that you showed of him just now, and you were talking about how other players want to be like him. I think I want to be like Harry Kane. He's just a stand-up guy. Do you know what I mean? I just want to be his mate. I want to be on the Christmas card list. I want to, he's just a nice, you can just see how lovely he is. And I look at that picture of him, he looks like a religious icon. In fact, I think I'd go far as to say that Harry Kane is my Jesus, like that photo of him is just a phenomenal photo, and it's just pure class. He is elegance, he is grace. So I just want to add that in. But going back to the thing about FA Cup, I mean, just, yeah, love to see Harry Kane lift it. How's that?
Holly, stand with you for a second. How does it feel to you that it is now 15 years, 2 days since we last lifted a trophy? It is a crazy stat. And when you think the players that play for our football club and have played for us and left our football club that haven't won a trophy, it is crazy, isn't it? 15 years and counting.
It is crazy, and I just remember that so well. I literally can remember watching that game with my dad and just all of us absolutely screaming. And I think, God, how old would I have been at the time? 15 years ago. So I'm really bad with maths. I'd have been 11. And I remember like a few of my friends at school were Chelsea fans. So it was just like absolute unreal scenes. But
Holly's taken over.
Yeah, well, I'll be the Stellini. Okay.
Whenever Chris has got to go get surgery.
When Chris needs a break, I'll take over, and then we will have the debate on the channel. If we think that Stellini should take over full time, that's what we'll do.
This is going to get tense, man.
I'm joking, Chris. You're irreplaceable.
Ollie, let's come to you. What does the FA Cup mean to you?
I love the FA Cup, and I've been absolutely desperate for us to win it for however many years I've been alive, because the last time we won the FA Cup was 91. Is that right? I was born in 1994, and every year I want us to win the FA Cup. I think it's a great competition. I was actually, you talk about 15 years ago, I was there at Wembley. That was my second game as a Spurs fan, and I saw us win a trophy. So I was like, wow, like this is what I can expect. Great. Can't wait for the next trophy. And then 15 years later, no trophies, a lifetime of being teased by my mates and other fans, and I'm absolutely sick of it. So yeah, the FA Cup is great. it's got such a historical meaning to it, and I love the fact that someone like Wrexham can come along and shock everyone, and it's just a fairy tale tournament. And I'm sick of seeing people like Man City and Chelsea win it. And we've had such an affinity with the FA Cup. I think we've won it 8 times. It's time to get back on the lunchbox, I think. And we've got such a good opportunity to win it. I mean, yeah, let's just go for it. I think it will play a major part in seeing if Conte stays. I think if he wins it, maybe he'll sign a new deal. But yeah, it seems like the FA Cup it's our only chance of winning a trophy. I don't see us winning the Champions League or the Premier. Obviously, we're not winning the Premier League. So yeah, I think we have to go all out for that FA Cup.
Ollie, when you say all out to win the FA Cup, it's been nearly 32 years since we last lifted it. And in 1991, it was for a record 8th time. And now a lot of clubs have passed us in that stat. Do you think that Conte will take this as seriously as we possibly can, bearing in mind that we have the Wolves game on Saturday in the Premier League?
Yeah, I think he will. And I think we saw against Preston the kind of intent he had for it when we had players like Kane and Son starting the game. No, I think, to be honest, we are quite lucky when we have players like Dan Juma, we got Kulusevski, we got Richarlison, we can kind of switch it about. I would rather, I don't know about you guys, I would rather win the FA Cup than come in the top 4, because we come in the top 4 and then don't really go that far in the Champions League. And the Champions League, let's be honest, we're light years away from winning that Champions League. So I would rather, just to get the monkey off the back, win that trophy, even though winning the FA Cup is not going to define us as a team. If you look back on the greatest teams, it's all about the Premier Leagues and the Champions Leagues. It won't define us. But I do think that the FA Cup, it's just so important that we get a trophy. Like, I would bite your hand off to be in that final today where United and Newcastle are. And we've come so close. We've had, semi-finals. Is someone hoovering around you, Chris? Sounds like it. Oh, you're on mute.
Well, the amount of semi-finals, the amount of finals that we've lost in recent years, and like I say on this channel all the time, players like Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Hugo Lloris not winning a trophy, Pochettino being at the club, Christian Eriksen, Jan Vertonghen, Toby.
Yeah.
There are just so many players, quality players that have played for us, end up leaving, and some of them are still here. And we haven't won a trophy for 32 years. Craig, what does the FA Cup mean to you? Do you think that we should take this seriously? Because I do get Ollie's point about, winning a trophy rather than being top 4. But top 4, finishing top 4 is a club requirement at Tottenham. It's not about winning the FA Cup. But, me more than anybody, I think, I'd love to, I'm looking at the high road now. I would love to see the bus parading down that high road with the likes of Harry Kane lifting that trophy. Is it realistic?
It's definitely realistic, and it's, look, as I've said on it before, the FA Cup means a lot to me. Remember watching it as a kid. I'm suddenly feeling really old after what Holly and Ollie have just said. Because I remember 81, 82. I remember 84. I remember losing in 87. I remember 91. I remember 99. I remember 2008. And me reading off those dates, it sounds like we're a successful club, and we are, but we haven't been recently. And when you're talking about FA Cups, it's weird, isn't it? Because there's probably 3 schools of thought. As a supporter, I want us to win a trophy. Of course, Harry Kane wants us to win a trophy, and all the players, I'm sure, want to win a trophy. When you're trying to attract the Guardiolas and the Bastonis of the world, and you're talking and you say, right, okay, what can you offer me? Well, we can offer you Champions League football. Okay. Or, well, what can you offer me? We won the FA Cup last year, but we finished 6th. Are they going to come? So, do you know what? It's a final. I can totally see it. And as you said, Chris, it is a club requirement to finish in the top 4. So I don't think it should be a choice between the two. I think we're perfectly capable of getting top 4, and I think we're perfectly capable of winning the FA Cup. And I hope, and I think he will go strong on Wednesday, because Conte's going to know how important that is. I mean, what does that say for him if he can be the first manager since is it one day Ramos that won us the last trophy? For him to break that hoodoo and break that duck, it would just be fantastic. He's going to know the history, and it is about time we did have that bus going down the high road, you know. And we do get stick for it as fans. I'm sure you guys do as well. You see the memes, you get the WhatsApp messages. You know, Tottenham always, you know, what have Tottenham and a motorcycle got in common? They got no cup holders or so. You know, it just gets sick of it. And this is coming from fans from clubs who haven't won trophies since 1980 or whatever. So, but they think it's funny, and like you think, oh right, okay, I'll go with that. You know, you can't retaliate because we caught you there, we caught another big one there. You just want to just like say, fine, okay, let's get a trophy in that cabinet. But going back to your original question, the FA Cup for me is the first thing I remember as a kid watching football. There wasn't much football. God, I sound old, but there wasn't much else football on the telly. You know, the FA Cup final was one of those big things. And, you know, as I was growing up, as I say, in the 80s, we was in 3 finals and it was an all day thing. You know, it was a lot longer now. They had kids matches on before and academy games on before. It always boiling hot day. It seemed to be in May. Lovely day, and everybody would gather around the telly and watch the FA Cup final. And now, of course, since the Premiership, it's all changed. So it's a bit sad the way the FA Cup's gone lately, and it doesn't seem to mean as much. But to me, it means a hell of a lot. And the Cup final is taking place at the moment. You know, you take that, wouldn't you? Let's face it. You wish we were there today, playing in a final. But look, we can win it. We've got a good chance of winning it. The teams that have gone out, as we went through the other week, we've got to be one of the favourites, but we've got to go out there and win against Sheffield United in the week, which we're more and more capable of doing. And I hope he goes strong to allow us to do that.
It seems such a great opportunity this year because both Manchester clubs are still left in it. But if you took them both out, you know, all the other teams should be beatable. Holly, Jamie writes here, how can we keep Antonio Conte? Do you think if Spurs won the FA Cup, do you think that would keep Conte? Do you think that Spurs would then want him to stay and he would want to stay here?
Yeah, I think so. And I think while, you know, I think we discussed about how, you know, loyalties and how certain players will stay regardless of if they have any silverware. I feel like Antonio Conte is a man who wants results and he wants trophies in the cabinet. And I think he's a very determined man, and I don't think he likes to admit defeat about stuff. And I think if he could say that he got Spurs their first trophy in 15 years, then I think that that's something that he would be proud of, and then I think he'd be hungry for more. I really do, because we can all see the potential of how far we can go, and I don't think anyone can more than Antonio Conte. So yeah, I hope that we will go all the way. I hope we will win the FA Cup, and I hope that will, for one, shut up all the people that give us all stick and make those jokes and stuff. Also, just to give the players, the amazing players that we've got, the recognition, the physical recognition that they deserve. And also, yeah, hopefully it will, you know, it will be a good thing that will make Conte stay.
Holly, coming back to you on that point about Conte, do you think that Conte will be Spurs manager next season or not?
I'd like to think he would be, but I really don't know. I hate to say it, but I have got a bad feeling about it. But I think there's just been a lot of times where he's not got his own way, and I don't think he quite likes that. But you know, I hope that he would, because you know we had the most successful start to the season that we've ever had. I know we were very second half FC, but you know, at the same time, we have seen massive changes under Conte, and I really hope that that's not even the half of it just yet. I really hope that we've got a lot more to do under him. So I've got a bad feeling, but I will say I think he will stay.
Ollie, let's come to you. This game against Sheffield United midweek in the FA Cup is not going to be an easy game, as we know last season, playing Middlesbrough and getting knocked out of the competition. Sheffield United at the moment are second in the Championship. They've played 33 games in the league competition, winning 19, drawing 7 and losing 7. They've got 64 points. It looks like they'll be playing in the Premier League next year. How do you see this game going? Do you think Spurs will go strong?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely go strong. I mean, if it was me, I'd go strong. I'd pretty much. I mean, I know it's in a few days' time, but I would name as unchanged as possible to just keep the good feeling going and just keep all the momentum, because we are on a decent batch of results recently. Yeah, it'd be tough. I mean, Sheffield United is always a really tough place to go, no matter where they are, whether in the Premier League or the Championship. It's always a really tough place to go. Having said that, Wrexham went there and very nearly got some kind of result. Obviously, it's a knockout game, but they went there and they caused them problems. So obviously, it goes without saying that we can too. And it should be quite a routine win. Yeah, you always go back to that Middlesbrough game, and we went there with a very strong team. I looked at it the other day, and it still gives me nightmares. We played a really strong team, and we got turned over. So we cannot. Nobody can afford to drop 1 ounce of intensity. We have to have the same desire we had from today. Like, nobody can afford to have a bad game, because the FA Cup is magic, and you've got the fans. They're going to have the Sheffield United fans. They're all going to be up for it. Those Sheffield United players, you're in the 5th round. If you get to the 6th round, you're getting that much closer to Wembley. So, yeah, we've got to be on it from minute 1. We've got to put a stop to any kind of idea that Sheffield United can pull a shock off against us, because the longer that game goes on for 0-0, the harder it's going to be for us, as we found out against Middlesbrough. So, yeah, strong team, and don't let them breathe from minute 1. That's what I would do.
Ollie, it looks likely that Antonio Conte will return for this game against Sheffield United. What changes do you think that he will make, and what should he make, bearing in mind that we do have that Wolves game in the Premier League on Saturday?
Yeah, Wolves is another really tough place to go, and they're my mate is Ollie Lewis from a previous show. He's a massive Wolves fan, and he's riding on the crest of a wave at the moment, because Wolves are doing really good. They got a great manager, Julian Lopetegui, and that'll be a really tough game. I would put as much priority on this FA Cup game as possible, because I think we could go to Wolves semi less strength and still get a result. I don't want to leave a single one of our top players out of that game, because I would just be going hammer and tongs for the FA Cup. I think the top 4 will sort itself out. I think if you look at the table, I mean, Newcastle, they got a cup final today. We're now, we're 4 points clear of them. Yeah, thank you. We're 4 points clear of them. They got 2 games in hand. I can't see Newcastle coming in the top 4 just because they don't have that experience. So I think the top 4 is there for the taking. Liverpool keep dropping points. Chelsea, as we know, are a bit of a lot of a shambles. So I would be putting all that priority into I would say worry more about the FA Cup, worry about the Wolves game later. Let's just cross that bridge when we come to it. But I think we should have enough in the tank for that game.
Craig, let's come to you. Does the likes of Harry Kane, Christian Romero and co, do they start this game on Wednesday for you? Or does the likes of Danjuma and players like Sanchez, do they come in?
For me, no. I think I'd keep the back 3 the same. I think you might see him change the wing backs up. I think you might see Perisic and Porro start, and perhaps, as I said earlier, you might see Kulusevski drop to the bench and Sonny come in there. What he's going to do in the middle will be interesting, because he's got to give Højbjerg a rest perhaps at one point. So perhaps Sarr and Skipp in the middle there. So I know that's a few changes, but you've got the squad, and I think those players that I've mentioned there, if you go with that team, are more than capable, or should be more than capable of beating Sheffield United. I mean, they haven't been brilliant of late. Sheffield United, they've had a few dodgy results. So for me, that 11 it should be good enough, and you've still got the players on the bench to come on. But we've got to rotate a little bit. Thank you. I can't really see him messing around. I wouldn't want to see him messing around with the back three at the moment, Chris, because they seem quite settled. 2 good games in a row. That's what I'd go with, and I wouldn't be upset if you did make those changes.
Craig, give me a score prediction.
2-0 Tottenham.
Holly, what are you going for?
I'm going to be ambitious. I'm going to say 3-0. Tottenham. Obs.
Confident.
If it wasn't Tottenham, then I'd be on the wrong channel, wouldn't I?
No, you wouldn't be on this channel.
Yeah, exactly. I've just sort of wandered in, got lost somewhere.
Ollie, what are you going to go for?
I'm going to go for 4-1.
Wow, you're all so confident.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think they'll score first. We'll get a bit. We'll all sort of poo our pants, and then we'll do it.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 win.
One.
As long as we go through, that is the main thing. And I've told myself every year since 1991 that this is our year. This is our year that we're going to win the FA Cup. And I just really hope that 2023 is our year, particularly after Harry Kane has broken the goal scoring record. You know, him more than anybody else deserves a trophy at this football club, and I just really hope it happens.
Yeah.
Thanks so much to all 3 of you for joining me this evening to talk about the Chelsea win. Holly, thanks so much for coming back, and tell everyone where they can find you on social media, what you're up to at the moment.
Well, I'll just finish by saying I saw in the comments someone said about if we win the FA Cup, I need to get Emerson on the back of my shirt, and I will, because I think that will be the perfect way for me to end the football season, because I started the season being his #1 hater, so I feel like I do need to get Emerson on the back of my shirt, so I might well do that. But yeah, people can find me on Twitter there at Holly BBC. As you know, I do work for BBC Breakfast, but my appearances are in no way affiliated with my employer, I should add. And yeah, follow me. That's all I have to say.
Holly, I've got to ask, you haven't bumped into Alan Shearer again lately, have you?
Not yet, but I mean, I'm due a visit from RL. You know what I mean? Me and him were mates now. Met him twice. You know, it's like know him quite well. Yeah, no. He did say to me, he said Harry Kane will beat my record, and I can't. You know, he couldn't think of a better person to do it. He's just such a lovely guy.
Well, thank you so much for coming back. It's been a pleasure having you here again.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Always a pleasure.
Look forward to you coming back on again soon. And Ollie, thanks so much for coming back on. Always nice to talk about a win.
Yeah, it's a great way to end my Sunday. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. You can find me on. I'm going to try and point. No, fucked it up again. I don't know how you do it. I'm not going to bother. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Ollie Gamp, as it says there. There, I did it. Yes. Yeah, I'm always talking about Spurs on Twitter. I'll be on dailymail.com, .co.uk rather, /sport. You can find me there talking about Spurs. If you're a boxing fan, I do a lot of boxing. I interviewed Derek Chisora the other day, which was always a laugh. So yeah, just check me out and you'll find me on both of those places.
Ollie, on that point, I've got to ask you, who's going to win the boxing later on this evening?
Well, we've just done a story that's rigged, and I'm really worried now. So we've published a story saying that there's a script, literally round by round, what's going to happen. Apparently, it ends with Jake Paul winning in the 8th round, and Tommy Fury, his eye blacks up and he can't see out of it, and then he calls out KSI. So I really hope that's not true, because I was really looking forward to the fight. If I was going to judge without all of that, I would say Tommy Fury maybe gets a decision. But yeah, I really hope it's not. I mean, you kind of worry for the sport of boxing if that's true. Hopefully not true. But yeah, Fury on points, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I asked that question now. Well, Ollie, thanks so much for coming back. And Craig, thanks so much as always.
No problem at all, Chris. If you want to, look, I'm going to do it.
I should have done that. Why didn't I go from above?
I went the wrong way because it's backwards. There, if you really want to follow me on Twitter. I have to say, Holly, I'm a bit jealous because Mr. Shearer, I've got a man crush on Shearer. You know, when I was playing football in my youth, it was him I always used to try and keep up with goals wise, and I failed miserably every single season. But I love Shearer. I think he's absolutely fantastic, and I really hope the Geordies. I don't know the score in the final at the moment. I really hope
1-0 United.
Oh, is it? I really hope Newcastle can do that. But yeah, no, always good fun to come on here, and it is funny thinking about Kane beating Shearer's record. It is in his sights. He's probably been in his sights since he scored his first goal, and let's hope he just stays at Tottenham and does it. And Harry Kane, if you are watching, if you fancy a game of golf anytime, just give me a tweet or whatever, and I'll be there.
I think
that'd be great.
I think we need to get my quote like on some merch or something that says, you know, Harry Kane is my Jesus, because I really feel like that was.
You should put that on the back of your bumper. That's got to be a bumper sticker, Holly, on the back of your car.
Yeah, right. No one steal that from me, please. If you're listening,
You own the trademark.
Trademark that. I'm going to copyright that because that was ace.
You said it, so it's your copyright now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they should? I know they didn't want to put statues up at the stadium. I read somewhere, but that is almost iconic for us anyway. That the statue of him running away with his eye when he rips off his face mask when he scored against Arsenal. You know, that would be brilliant just in that plaza where the South Stand is.
The one of him kicking the Coke bottle. That was great too. That was iconic. Yeah. He's just an iconic guy, man. Love him.
Yeah.
Craig, what's the chances of you wearing an Emerson shirt?
Oh, let's not get carried away. I mean, that's, you know, he's had a few good games, hasn't he? You know, and I think all the criticism we gave him was fair. But, you know, he's been fantastic. He's been utterly fantastic, and long may it continue. He's almost one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment, which is bizarre, isn't it? You to think what he was, as Holly said, like beginning of the season. Wow, what a turnaround.
Well, Craig, Holly and Ollie, thanks so much for your time this evening. It's been a pleasure talking to you, particularly after Spurs have won yet again. Harry Kane on the score sheet, Oliver Skipp on the score sheet. Spurs are sitting in the top four. Let's hope that we can be talking about another win on Wednesday evening against Sheffield United and go into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Let's hope that 2023 will be our year. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for listening. If you don't subscribe to the channel as yet, please do hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, come on, you Spurs.